Good day, I'm Lau Wing San, Assemblyman for Kampong Tunku. Today is the 25th of February 2017. Today is also a very interesting day. Earlier today, there was a gathering in Shah Alam organized by a group of people who call themselves as Reformists 1999, and one of the organizers is my good friend in the State Legislative Assembly, Saudara Sari Sungip, legislator from Hulu Klang. And what made the gathering interesting was Dr. Mahadi make a surprise visit to the place. That was actually supposed to be a gathering who supported of a group of person who has been supporting the Reformasi movement since the 1998-99. So some 300-400 people were there, and of course for the past 18-17 years, this group of people, the reason why they started the Reformasi movement was because of the removal of Anwar Ibrahim from his position as the Deputy Prime Minister, then by the then Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir, who is now paying a visit to a conference organized by these Reformasi activists. So it is a very funny and interesting event when Tun Dr. Mahathir attended the event unexpectedly. Of course, some of the people welcomed him, and some other people were not actually welcoming him, and instead they were throwing a lot of allegations, negative comments and remarks against him, in which Dr. Mahathir has accepted the allegations against him with an open heart. This is what is reported by Malaysia Kini. He said, Dr. M. do bankrupt, come after me after we get rid of Najib. Basically, what he was asking the Reformasi activists to put things behind for the moment, but concentrate all of our efforts to remove Najib as the Prime Minister. The reason being is very simple. Najib has caused this country into turmoil, into huge and scandalous crisis and turmoil, and the only way to save this country is to remove Najib as Prime Minister, and also to topple Barisan Nasional from Putrajaya. Do you really need to get rid of? Do you really need to come after Dr. Mahadi after we got rid of Najib? I don't think so, because Dr. Mahadi is now already facing the hit. As part of the strategy, I think UMNO is using some of the scandals happening during his time as Prime Minister to take actions against him. UMNO is trying to use these scandals happening 20-30 years ago as a weapon against Dr. Mahathir. They are trying to open up as many cans of wounds as possible against Dr. Mahathir, and that is the reason why I said Dr. Mahathir now is actually facing a certain level of actions from the current government led by Najib Tun Razak, and I believe that he will sooner or later have to face up with all the allegations, and he has to be answerable to all the scandals that happens around him. But one thing that really interesting me is that his willingness to face the criticism, and that shows one thing, that it's the cooperations between him and other opposition parties, particularly the DAP, does not mean that he's forgiven. And the DAP has never also said that because we work together with him to save this country from kleptocrat, it does not mean that he will be cleansed from the sins and the wrongs that he committed in the past. He still have to face it when the time comes. At least he must answer to some of these allegations. But what is more important right now is, of course, compared to the scandals happening 20-30 over years ago, and right now we are already facing with scandals involving billions of bring it, and the main culprit is the Prime Minister, and he is still holding on to the office. He is still running this government. he has used all the measures and approaches that he has, and all the means that he has to stop and block any level of any amount of investigations and prosecutions that could be mounted against him. So I believe this is one good part of strategy. This is a very good strategy on the part of Dr. Mahadi to attend this meeting and openly clarifying and openly and sportingly, willingly facing criticisms from some of the hardcore supporters of the oppositions, which were actually very much against him for the past 18 and 19 years. It's good for him to come up and put up some remarks. I put up such remarks, and I believe that it is going to show one thing that's very clear, that I think Dr. Mahadi started to realize that there were some mistakes on his part in the past, and he has to somehow own up to it by not only admitting it, but also he has to recognize that if the oppositions were to be united and convinced in working together with him to topple Najib, some of these old debts, or some of these we call it in Chinese, we call it old account, unresolved accounts, he has to be put up an attitude or stand that shows that he's willing to take responsibility. Of course, if he's telling us that, or if he is denying outright that he's not enough, he's clean, he has done no wrong at all, then of course this is something that will be difficult for us to accept. But I believe we should welcome his willingness to own up to some of these some of the mistakes or errors that he committed in the past. Another example that I could share with you is that his willingness to explain why the DAP is not welcomed by the Malay community during his time as Prime Minister, and what he had done then as chairman, as Prime Minister and the President of UMNO, how he and his machinery, his UMNO machinery, had demonized the DAP in the Malay community. And I think this kind of clarifications or admissions sometimes works to explain things that happened in the past. It's good to see now more and more Malays are coming up to realize that what was done in the past by UMNO was part of the propaganda to distance the DAP from the Malay community in order for these UMNO leaders to continue to hold on to the powers. So without this propaganda, without this kind of racist propaganda in the past, I'm sure the DAP will be able to capture power long time ago. But it's good, although it's late, but it's better than never, that for Mahadi to come up with such clarifications. And I hope this momentum can continue, and I hope the oppositions can work together in a more united manner. Of course, there are many differences, many supporters, many members, many even elected reps and leaders are questioning the needs to work with Mahadi. They are also asking, are we forgiving Mahadi? What are we forgetting even some of the wrongs and some of the scandals that he had committed in the past? My stance and the party stand is very clear. I don't think, and I do not think we should forget and forgive. We should never forget what he had done in the past. He has to own up to it. He has to explain. He cannot run away from it, definitely. He cannot deny. But at the same time, we must also understand that the more pertinent issues on hand is this 1MDB scandals, which are causing us billions, not only millions. During Mahadi's time, it could be hundreds of millions. But now, if we are talking about billions, it could be even more than the 2.6 billions that we're talking about. I'm sure it is more than that. It's well and far exceeded that amount of money. So this is what the opposition should do now. That is to consolidate our effort and to ensure that the next government will be a government formed by Pakatan Harapan and Bersatu. Now, what happened to past? Now, today, besides the gathering by the activists, the reformasi activists, there's also another event that has taken place in PAS headquarters. A group of Selangor PAS grassroots leaders submitting a memorandum to PAS Pusat, the national leadership of PAS, represented by the person who came and received the memorandum is Ustaz Nasruddin Tantawi, one of the, I would say, hardcore extremists, Mahadi's right hand man in PAS, the so-called gang ulama, or the so-called gang unity government, UG gang. But anyway, what is very interesting now, you see this as a news about a group of grassroots leaders submitting memorandums to PAS Pusat. Now they are from Selangor. If they were to submit a memorandums, why are they not submitting these memorandums to PAS Selangor? Question number one. Question number two, is there anything funny or anything tricky between the leadership of PAS Selangor and these grassroots leaders? Aren't there any communication channel between the grassroots and the state committees before these grassroots people straight away send a memorandum to the federal, to PAS Pusat leaderships? This is something that I think very tricky. I believe something could have gone wrong within PAS and probably PAS Selangor. What is happening in between? Now, you don't forget one thing. Last year, July 2016, some 13 Selangor PAS elected reps, MPs and ADUNs included, submitted a memorandum to PAS Pusat requesting and asking, appealing the PAS central leaderships and Hadi to cease fire, to stop firing amongst opposition leaders, among opposition parties. Now, this could be perceived as something that is problematic for PAS, in the sense that Hadi's, when he is concentrating fires against DAP particularly, suddenly you have a group of PAS Selangor leaders telling him and asking him to cease fire. Does it look like a bit like a potong steam? Will this perceived as a kind of betrayal to the leadership of the ulama and the PAS Pusat? So these are my questions. Very, very tricky situations. I believe something is not, is quite wrong in PAS, particularly and especially in PAS Selangor. And if you read the news published by Malaysia Kini, you see some of these photos, and these photos, there were paintings being put up by these grassroots leaders from PAS Selangor. They said that Kisang is racist. Of course, we expected with them, we have expected this. Do not ever expected this group of people to tell you that Kisang is an angel. They say that Dr. M is a robber. Well, you can attack Dr. M. They say that Muhyiddin is a homewrecker, and they accuse Mat Sabu as a betrayer. So they put up paintings, they print nice paintings, they show it to the media. They accuse Lim Kit Siang from DAP, Dr. M from Persatu, Muhyiddin from Persatu, and of course Mat Sabu from Parti Amanah Negara. But I was wondering, why are they not putting up painting or banner printed in equal size with equally beautiful kind of banners and paintings, and put it up and show it to the people? They are also against UMNO. They are also against Najib for stealing the wealth of the nation. Why are they not putting up this kind of banner? Where are these paintings? So they have the guts to attack the DAP, Persatu, and Amanah, and they are also telling the media and the leadership openly that they are not comfortable in working together with PKR. But how about their traditional rivals, political rivals, UMNO? Why are they not pointing their gun also at Najib? This is my question.